All right. So last week we reviewed Funny Games, which was Philip's suggestion, a very fucked up movie. This week, my recommendation was something a little more lighthearted. That being Ridley Scott's 1979 film Alien. So
Yeah. I mean, I appreciate this movie. I don't love it as much as everyone else does, but like I appreciate this movie. This movie did a lot, and especially for 1979. Like I thought it was an 80s movie, but to learn that it was 79, like I feel it's much more impressive. A lot of the stuff that it was doing. Since I mean, there were sci-fi blockbusters before it, but like this definitely redefined a lot of things, and I feel it definitely did a lot in its effects and also a lot of its style. I liked a lot of the style and a lot of what it does. I don't love this movie, but again, just like I appreciate this movie. I respect it just on that level. I don't know. You guys can give your opinions.
um, the thing with, I mean, I love the Alien franchise. It's it's one of my favorite movie franchises, and it's pretty fun. Alien being the first one that was released again in 1979. I believe it's was one of the I guess kind of the first movies of the sub horror genre where you have the killer and it slowly where the killer kind of slowly kills each member of the cast one by one until there's one left. Kind of the I guess it didn't start it off, but it was one of the very first movies to be part of that subgenre, and it really defined that genre in the future.
I mean, there are
And
a lot of
Because
stories of a killer killing people off, but I guess this was more like the slasher vibe. Like
yeah,
not
I
what you
guess it is
typically
kind
think of a slasher now, but
Mhm.
like it's I feel it's kind of more than that since there were fewer genres which has been around forever.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, I guess it's more like the first blockbuster that has done something like that.
Yeah, yeah. I guess it is kind of like a pro slasher. I've never really thought of it in that way, but I guess that does really make sense.
it defined a lot of things that nowadays are fairly regular in horror and slasher movies.
Yeah.
In a less positive light, I would say that I personally thought that it was really boring and slow and confusing, especially for the first about 30 minutes. But this is coming from a perspective that I've never seen any of the Alien films before. This is my first time seeing it or knowing anything about it. So, like, it was just super confusing for me. And I'm not someone who enjoys being confused in a movie for like a quarter of it or like
Yeah,
half of it.
being
I
someone
mean,
who's yeah. Oh,
this is the only alien movie I've seen. I mean, I could follow the plot pretty easily. There's the alien, they find it kills John Hurt, and then becomes a worm thing, and the worm thing becomes the alien that kills all of them off. And the one dude's the android.
yeah. Being someone who knows a lot about the lore, whether that's the prequels, the sequels, the extended universe, the connections to Blade Runner, the connections to the Predator movies, the spin-offs, the
Oh, yeah,
comics.
it's Alien versus Predator. I forgot that was a thing.
Yeah. This, I mean, this is kind of where all that started from. But if you're to look at it as a movie by itself, I'd say it's really good. It's my favorite horror movie. A lot of the elements of the movie were great. I liked that a lot of the movie, like the colors in the movie. It's very dark. It's a dark setting. It's a spaceship adrift in the void of space where it's just nothingness for billions of miles.
Yeah.
I
And
mean, I do love the set
Mm-hmm.
design.
yeah,
Sorry, is there anything
and
else you want to say? I just
oh, I
want to
was
make sure
saying,
I
and
cut you off.
it just feels very claustrophobic, and it almost essentially feels like you're there. So you can kind of feel what the characters are feeling about how they just feel trapped on this spaceship where with pretty much nowhere else to go.
I mean, I probably
Yeah.
the set design is my favorite part of the movie. Just like how they designed the ship. Like I love the ship. It just looks like this big hunky thing. Like it's not supposed to be a super high end ship. It's some
That
mineral
was
refinery.
Yeah, that was
Like
actually a point I wanted to bring up. The ship, the Nostromo. If you compare it to ships from Prometheus and Covenant, like those are government funded ships to the point where they're supposed to look super nice and just overall look very visually appealing. The Nostromo it's basically a semi truck that's hauling stuff from a colony back to Earth. So it's supposed to look dirty and dingy. It's supposed to look used and worn out. They're space truckers.
yeah,
Yeah,
but
that's. Oh, sorry. Wait,
no, you go. You can
okay,
talk.
yeah. So that's one thing I really love about this movie is that it takes like because it kind of be like a lot of movies before Alien, like they take the sci-fi element and they glamorize it, like it's like this amazing thing. Like I think in like 2001: A Space Odyssey, that movie is like just like in a lot of the long shots where it's showing the spaceships just floating through space. It's just everyone's really excited about all this like new technology and like really just excited about the space age. But this movie is kind of I feel very like nihilistic in its portrayal of space. Like it's optimistic in the sense that like humans are able to go to space, but like just every like space isn't really something that's like super fun or nice. It's all just for like work, and they're essentially just space truckers, and it's everything's really dirty and like nothing's fancy really at all, and it's all just kind of depressing. And I don't know, I really liked all that stuff. Like there's not a lot of color. It's just all very miserable. I don't know. That was that's probably the thing I like about the movie most. It just takes like what a lot of like early sci-fi movies from like the 60s and 70s were, and just kind of, I don't know, it does something interesting with it, I thought. Um, yeah.
Yeah, I would say I just love a lot of the style, like especially they make like a lot of use of the anamorphic lenses that they use. I can tell them all the lens flares are all really long, and also just like its use of lighting, just like especially during the climax, there's so much like strobe lighting, all these flashing things. Just I enjoy all of that. Just how just like over the top and just aggressive a lot of the style feels during the more intense scenes.
Yeah.
Um, and
Something I
like
wanted. Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
I do really respect the alien effects and everything. I feel it really is just the less is more, because like the less you see of the alien, the better it looks. I feel like
That's actually,
the
yeah.
more and more you saw of the alien, the worse it looked. The more it just
That's
looked like a
actually
dude in
something
a
I
rubber
actually
suit.
wanted to touch on a bit. The alien itself, and a lot of the designs for a lot of the alien architecture, like on the derelict spacecraft on LV 426, the moon that they land on, all of that was designed by H.R. Giger, and or for the
I
most
thought it was
part,
pronounced Geiger.
it
Yeah,
was a mix of
whatever.
both. Giger
Right.
designed a lot
thought
of
it was
the.
Giger. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it
But
was a
whatever,
mix.
just keep going.
I don't
Yeah,
really,
yeah, sorry,
yeah,
sorry.
I don't really know too much about that, but I know Giger had a lot of influenced a lot of design, signed it, um, and I do like what you were saying about how the aliens, it's in the shadows a lot. There's only a couple times during the movie where you get an actual full body shot of it,
Yeah, I feel like
which was
that's
pretty cool
why
at the time.
it wasn't
It's
scary for me at the end, because I just didn't buy as the alien anymore. In the rest of the movie, I bought it because like they just showed the parts that looked good. It looked like it was in the shadows. It's the standard monster things. You don't show the monster, and at the end they showed the monster, and now it just looks like a dude in a suit. So I feel like that's kind of where it falls apart for me a bit. Like especially when it's flying off and like flies back and hits it hits a spaceship. It just seems like they're throwing a dummy at a bit of a plastic model. Like
yeah, that was
it doesn't work for me.
yeah. I mean that is one of my few complaints about the movie. Just I mean with it being I mean this movie I'm assuming with production and everything, I believe it started in like 1977. So for that point in time where CG and I guess the use of better and I guess the use of animatronics and better special effects weren't necessarily quite a thing yet. Or they were just in the very early stages. That kind of where the alien looks better, more visually appeasing as yeah, in like full body shots. That's more apparent in the sequels and some of the prequels, depending on your opinion on that.
I mean,
At
this
least,
is the
yeah,
only Alien movie that I've seen. I've seen this first one. That's it. But I feel like they should have took advantage of just keeping the shadows more. I think if they just did that, like even during the climax when she's fighting in the spaceship, I think they should have just still kept it in the shadows. But I mean, for the most part, like it does look really good. I feel all the effects in this movie are pretty good. I mean, I would say like this movie is obviously very influential, and its effects are very well known by most people who know about movies.
Yeah.
Um, like yeah, especially in its set design and everything else. I would say just the look of the movie is really good. The use of film and the fact that you can just see like sweat on everybody's faces. Like I feel it does kind of very much ground the movie. And a lot
yeah,
of people talk about how they try and have like everyday objects in the spaceship to make it seem more just like just everyday. You know, these are space
It-
truckers. They aren't
Logan.
anything special.
it makes sense because the movie's set in 2122, which, if you think about it now, it being 2020, that kind of technology doesn't necessarily seem that far off, especially with that only being 2122 only being a little under 100 years away from now. It seems entirely plausible that that type of technology could exist.
Yeah, but I would say just like, especially in just a lot of the stuff, like I know in the prequels and sequels and everything, they kind of explain a lot of the stuff more and they talk about, you know, all the different things, but like, I don't really know any of that, and I don't really want to. Because I like not knowing. I like the fact that the big is the thing that they find at the beginning of the movie that's in the big thing. Like, I don't know what any of that is. I don't know any of
Yeah.
that from the prequels and stuff. And I like that. I like the mystery. I like the fact that I don't know what any of that is. I don't know about the aliens. And just like, I feel knowing about that would just ruin the mystery. Just like a lot of, I mean, horror, as everyone knows, comes from the unknown. People fear the unknown. And I feel like it wouldn't work as well if I knew all of this stuff. I mean, I could be wrong. I haven't seen any of them. Maybe I would watch them and I would like it more. But just for me personally, I like the fact that it's all a mystery.
I mean, this is
Aliens
definitely the best movie.
is-
Oh shit! Sorry.
I was just saying the way they expand upon the lore a bit in Aliens is pretty good. Like they don't there's not a lot of explanation for some of the mysteries in the previous movie. In fact, it actually opens up more mysteries about the movie, the Alien, and just the franchise as a whole. Sorry, what were you saying, Gabe?
Oh no, I was just saying this is probably the best movie of the franchise. So I guess I don't know. That's literally all.
It's actually something I wanted to talk to you specifically about, since I know you're the only other person here who's seen the other movies.
Yeah.
How do you feel like this movie itself, or like how do you feel like how do you think the movie did setting up a franchise that's spanned over nearly 50 years, made millions of dollars in the box office, and has made lots of money off of merchandise and other things?
I mean, yeah, like it's definitely like just a very like everybody like basically everybody knows like what the Alien franchise is, or at least like a lot of people know what the franchise is. Like it did like this movie was just it had like this great quality of like again like what you were kind of saying, Phil, like given just all this mystery, and so like people were just like, hey, I want to figure out more about that. So they watched the preceding movies, and they all were very successful.
Mhm.
Well, I don't know about Alien 3, I don't know if that was that
Alien
successful.
3 had a
lot of-
very complicated production with lots of rewrites. There was a
Yeah.
lot of problems, and then come Alien Resurrection, we all know how that
Yeah,
happened.
and then
But,
that's just a disaster. Yeah.
But if you were to look at I'd say the prequels. How do you feel about how the way they kind of established some of the mysteries of Alien and Aliens as a whole?
Like Prometheus and Covenant. Well,
Covenant.
I kind of I like I don't know. I did appreciate what they were doing in Prometheus. Like a good amount, but I guess I do have problems with Alien Covenant. Mostly just I don't think it's a very good movie, and I don't know. I didn't really like a lot of the character decisions that they made, and just kind of the way they dealt with characters in that movie. I don't know. I respect Prometheus a lot, like as a prequel,
Yeah.
but I don't really with Covenant. I think Covenant's kind of a piece of shit. Yeah.
Yeah, but to stay on Alien, I would say
Yeah.
Alien. I mean, it probably worked really well in its time. I feel when it came out, it would probably scare people a lot. Like my mom, when she talks about it, she's terrified of the movie. But like, I feel now just. I mean, I don't want to be, you know, the young person who doesn't get the older movies, but just like, I don't know. I've watched even a lot of movies older than this that I feel are either more scary or just more enjoyable. Like, I wouldn't say this movie is slow paced. I'm not really bored throughout it, but I would say, like, I mean, we could disagree on that, but like me personally, I'm not bored while watching the movie. But I would say yes, there are definitely parts where it's a bit slow paced.
Yeah.
I would say
I
just
mean, the beginning
overall, I
is very slow
I don't know,
paced.
just like I feel it was a good blockbuster of the time, but just like I think there's better out there now. There's better sci-fi, there's better horror, there's better
I think
alien
what made it a
movies,
good
like,
blockbuster is the fact that there hasn't really or before there was really nothing like it, and the xenomorph or the alien itself, that was like no creature or movie character has ever been designed to look like that, which I feel with how shockingly different it was, I think that's what made it iconic, and that's why it's. I mean, even today, it's still recognized.
Yeah, but I don't know. I just think like I mean, so many things have taken influence from Alien, and Alien took influence from a lot of things. But I would say just like a lot of the things that came from Alien are probably better than Alien. Like, I mean, not really the things that are like in the franchise, but just a lot of the things that are influenced by it. I feel like there are a lot of people who've just done it better now. And
Yeah.
I don't know. I still respect Alien. I think people should still watch it and be knowledgeable about it if they are passionate for movies. But like, just again, me personally, I respect it. I don't love it.
Yeah.
I feel very similar. So I feel that, I think there were some parts of it that like really intrigued me. Like I was really intrigued by all those skeletons in the first part, and then never talked about it again. And I was like, oh, all
You're
right.
talking.
Like,
Were you talking about like on the ship, like the crashed spaceship they find?
yeah, on that
If you, I
crashed
mean,
spaceship.
I can actually open up a little bit about that if you want me to.
Oh no, that's
It,
okay.
Yeah,
okay.
let's just stay on the
I
topic of
like,
Alien for right now.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's
Um,
interesting.
Okay, but
Something,
like
I
they
mean,
just
a detail.
never
Yeah,
explained it, and I thought that like was really what I was waiting for. I was really waiting for them to say like, oh wow, like this, like there is a whole like thing going on here, and like maybe this is where it comes from, or like something like that. And I was also really confused on the android guy. I think his name was Ash,
yeah.
and why he was sweating white. It was so confusing.
The androids in the Alien movie, or at least the ones built by the Weyland-Yutani Corporation, those I don't know. That's just like that's what they drink. It's what
I
they're
think they
made
just
of.
have white fluid.
They
They
just
just have
drink
white
milk.
fluid.
Okay.
They drink
I
lots
didn't
of
really
milk.
question it that much. I thought it was just
Really? I
it's
thought it was
sciencey
very
stuff. It's white
strange.
fluid.
It's milk.
I don't know. It's some kind of white fluid that powers them. There's probably some kind of
Yeah.
lore behind it that Connor knows.
There
but
is some lore behind it. I could
well,
go.
actually,
No.
I could go on and explain that. I
That's
could
okay.
explain
That's
the thing Kenzie
okay.
was. Yeah, I for the sake of time and probably you guys could care less.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But
Like,
Yeah.
since
yeah,
I've watched a lot of movies, when I first started getting into film, there was definitely a lot of things where I would watch and I'd just be like, I want to know all this stuff. But like, I've learned to respect the mystery a bit more. Since I've learned a lot of the times when they explain things is a bit disappointing. Usually,
Okay.
at
yeah.
the end of it, you're just kind of like, I could have gone without knowing that.
Some of the and I completely agree with that. But some of the mysteries that were set up with this movie and explained in later movies or video games or comics and stuff like that. I mean, if we're being honest, I was a bit disappointed with some of the decisions they made for those. And
Yeah, like
and I
that's
can see it. Yeah,
That's why I feel it's
and
just kind of
and
like better to leave it open. Like when movies have open-ended endings, they without explaining everything and leaving loose ends. Like if a movie's
I
doing that, they're
love
doing it
that.
for a reason. Like they're not just doing it to piss everyone off. They have a reason for doing
Yeah.
it, and I feel like just trying to explain it would ruin it. Like Lost in Translation when Bill Murray whispers something in Scarlett Johansson's ear. The whole point is you don't know. The Prisoners or anything else, all the movies with open-ended endings, like they have a reason for doing that, and I feel like just explain the mystery. You're just gonna be disappointed. That's really what it is. That's what it comes down to. You're gonna be disappointed in what's where you learn what's actually going on. So I feel just
Okay.
appreciate it as it is.
Now, I totally understand where you're coming from with that, and I totally get liking the mystery and liking that you don't know. But personally, I really like when a movie gives you a lot of unanswered questions, but like answers one or two of them just enough to like get you more interested with some very basic answers that leave you wanting more. Like that's what I like. And with like some of those questions that never get answered. And I feel like that to me, this movie left too many unanswered questions.
I can
what do you
respect that. Yeah.
I totally understand
what
that.
do you feel are some of the biggest, I guess, unanswered questions you have about the movie that you feel
What
that like
That
happened?
Connor really desperately wants to explain.
not necessarily. I'm genuinely curious because I mean they don't explain they don't explain everything. I mean there's a lot of details that like even unnecessary things they go back and explain. And again, I was
Really?
disappointed
Maybe
by a lot of them. But
I probably missed some of the explanations, but I was very confused on what they were doing. Like, to me, it never really got explained. And I think that was probably something that you had to figure out on your own. Because, like,
yeah,
in the beginning, it mentions that they had mining stuff. But, like, I guess I never realized until you guys were talking about it being of, like, a mining trucker thing. I
Yeah.
never
Yeah, they're just
put that
transporting
together. I was
materials,
like,
right?
oh, they're there to gather resources. Like I thought they were
Yeah.
just like out in space doing a mission. And I was really confused on how there was like an android with them and how they never knew that. And I was confused on
Explain
I
that,
felt
believe it or
like
not.
I never tracked down how every person died. Like I never figured out how the African American and the other girl died. Like I never knew. I was like, oh, they're gone.
But the
I
alien
guess
killed
it's
them.
just Ripley and the
Yeah,
cat
I mean-
now. Like, well, okay, well that's obvious, but like I
Well,
never
their deaths
saw
are
them.
well, their deaths themselves in the movie are pretty quick, and even though it's a small cast, it is kind of. I mean, I know who dies first. The one dude, the dude with the hat. I forget his name.
John Hurt.
No,
I mean, that's the
aside-
actor's name. I don't know the
actual-
guy's chest burst open.
Yeah, that's John Hurt.
Well, no,
John Hart.
I'm talking about the guy afterwards.
Wait, are you talking about the guy who was like looking for the
Is that
cat
the
or whatever?
bearded
Yeah,
dude?
yeah, him.
The guy who was looking for the
Oh.
cat. His name is he died recently.
Yeah,
Oh,
he did.
that dude. Yeah,
Yeah.
the dude who always
He
said, yeah.
He was
I
in
don't.
the Avengers.
I'm
I
always
found out
bad with
recently.
names in movies. I'm just bad with names in general. Usually I go by
No.
the actor's name, so just some
Yeah.
defining characteristic.
Yeah, no, yeah, it was Harry Dean Stanton. That was him.
Yeah, he was in the Avengers. I found out recently, which surprised me.
He was in the Avengers. I don't know. I know the last movie he was in
yeah.
was a John Carroll Lynch movie, which
Yeah.
the actor. Yeah.
But yeah, all the deaths happen really quick, which kind of, which
I mean, most of them happen
Is-
off screen, which again is just kind of like fear
Yeah.
of the unknown, and also probably lack of budget.
Yeah.
when Dallas dies, the bearded dude who goes into the vents to look for the xenomorph, he literally
Yeah, they have the quick
Although-
cut of the alien and they cut away.
yeah. With Lambert, the other lady, I know she it's just like her freaking out in the corner, and then it cuts away and she's dead.
Oh, I don't know.
The
I
black-
mean,
black
Ripley
dude,
finds
I
them for a second and shows both
Yeah.
of them on the
Oh.
floor bleeding.
Another
No.
thing that really bothered me is it never I could never figure out what happened to the cat because I saw Ripley grab the cat and put her.
no, the cat
into
survived. The cat survives.
The spaceship.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
because after she made the alien go outside the spaceship. I can't think of the words. There's like a specific term, but.
Airlock?
After that happened, I was
Like it
like,
sucked out
yeah,
the
the
airlock?
airlock. She opened the airlock and like the alien flew out, and I was like, oh my god, is the cat still alive? Because the alien could have gotten to and I didn't notice, or maybe it flew
No, the
out and I
cat
didn't
survived.
notice.
The cat's actually
Okay.
in the sequel, surprisingly.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Oh, another thing
Uh,
that bothered me, but it's very, very minor, and like it probably doesn't even deserve an explanation. It's probably just like, oh yeah, it's just a weird thing. But in the computer room where that journal thing was, where the android guy went to a lot, there was like a million lights, and they
Oh.
flickered, and they all it seemed like they did something because they
It's
were
just
like
a futuristic
they
computer. They
flickered.
just made it look
Yeah, I
cool.
think it
get
just looks cool.
that. But it kind of it flickered in a way that was like maybe it's doing something, and
I
was
doubt
like,
it.
Yeah, I think it
during
just looks
every
cool.
scene in there, I was like, what are they doing? Like, what did the lights do? Like, that's the whole thing that I was thinking about.
It's just
Maybe that's why I get a bit annoyed by unanswered questions. I think you're looking a bit too deeply into it.
yeah.
Maybe.
I mean, big
The lights,
things,
they have a pattern.
yeah, big things like
The numbers,
like,
Mason. No one's gonna get that
Big-
joke.
yeah, I mean big things like the skeleton, the ship, or some of the other things. Like those are explained later on, but like the lights,
Okay.
I don't think those lights are important.
Okay, well,
I
thought
mean,
they were-
knowing Ridley Scott, maybe they are, but you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was actually thinking about it. Parker, or a bit back on deaths, but Parker, the black dude. I forgot how he died. That was.
He
That
just
was-
gets killed by
Oh.
the alien with the other girl.
That's right.
Okay. Cool.
He is kind of a bit of an idiot since he has a flamethrower thing, and then he runs at the alien, and then the alien just hits him off, and then they both get
Okay.
killed.
I mean,
Something that bothered
Oh,
me.
go ahead.
Something that bothered me but was never addressed was when they all of them came back and the guy who had this the alien pop out of his chest, what's his John?
Or,
Well, John Hurt is the actor. I don't know the
John.
character.
what was
Well,
his
the
name?
guy
It was,
John Hurt, he when he was infected and they wanted to bring him inside, and Ripley was like, "No, you can't come in because of quarantine." and they were like, no, he's injured, he could die, and then that other guy just like pushed the button and let them all in. That was never discussed, and I feel like that's important. Like,
Well,
they should
no,
talk about that. Like,
he's
as a
the
mission.
android, and like he's saying that like they need to get the xenomorph. Like that's the real purpose of the mission is to get the alien and bring it back to Earth so they can analyze
something that
it.
they actually
Yeah, but
connect
I
later
feel like
too.
as a team, they should talk about that. You know, like
Well, they're all
ignoring
dead.
quarantine is a big deal.
Actually, technically, Ash has I'm pretty sure his rank or he's ranked higher in the chain of command than most of them. So
Well,
I
no,
don't
they have
know.
a conversation saying that Ripley, like, since the bearded dude and some other guy was out, that means Ripley was therefore the highest in command.
I know
So
that
she would outrank Ash.
well no
Yeah.
actually no, yeah, you're right. But I know Ash
Yeah.
he was following some containment protocol which was I guess just programmed into the ship. I know because they've addressed that.
I mean, I'm pretty
point.
sure it's implied that
okay.
Ash just wanted the alien. Like, since, he
It's
was an
probably
android and his
connected to
main
that.
purpose, get the alien back to Earth in any way possible.
Yeah, but he wanted.
But I mean, like, if I was on that ship at that moment, I'd be like, listen, guys, we have protocols for a reason. Like, I get, like, he's injured, but, like, what if we all die? You know? Because of this.
Ash doesn't care.
I
He's
would
just
want to
doing-
talk about it.
Well,
I mean,
then
Yeah,
you
but,
wouldn't
like,
have
what
a
about
movie.
Ripley? Like, why wouldn't
Yeah.
Ripley say anything?
It's a horror movie. Some people need to make some stupid decisions
Yeah.
for the plot to work.
Yeah.
I get it, but, like, Alright. I have nothing else to say about this movie.
Alright. Does everyone want to give a rating?
7 to 8 out of 10. Probably 7
Yeah.
and a half.
I'd probably give it.
I'd give it a 7.
Yeah.
7 and a half, yeah.
Well, I'd probably give it, like, a 5 or a
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's fun.
This wasn't my cup of tea.
Yeah.
Okay, so
All right. Oh yeah. So it's my turn to recommend the movie. So
yes.
Yeah.
What is
So
your
it's-
movie, Gabe?
So the movie I'm doing is Waves. Came out last year. It's a movie by Trevor Schultz. He directed. I guess the only two
I
other
was about to say
feature-
David Robert Mitchell. I have no idea where I got that from.
no. I mean, I confuse the two all a lot because they have 3 names. But so Trey Edward Schultz, he directed Krisha back in 2015, and It Comes at Night in 2017. Krisha, it seems like most people like that movie. It definitely has a lot of like Paul Thomas Anderson influences, like especially early Paul Thomas Anderson.
I still haven't seen it. I think it's on Netflix. I'll try and watch that.
Yeah, and It Comes at Night was a horror movie that was horribly mismarketed, and people thought it was just going to be like a typical, like, oh, there's monsters outside, like apocalypse movie, but then it was just more of a really depressing family drama. But this movie, I think, is
Wait, didn't I watch that with you recently?
Yeah, we watched that.
Yeah, we watched.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I would definitely say Waves is probably his best movie. Like, it's definitely his most ambitious movie.
I mean, it seems like everyone loves it. I still haven't seen it yet, but yeah, it seems like
I
everyone
have no
loves
idea
it.
what it is. So.
Yeah. No,
I have
Waves,
no idea what you guys are talking about.
yeah.
That's how I
me
feel.
all the time.
Well, that's how I
though.
feel half the time when they're talking about random stuff.
That's why I like having you two on the podcast. Me and Gabe are the film people, and then it's different opinions. I like,
Yeah.
On Alien. We've all seen different amounts of Alien movies.
I feel bad though,
it's-
because I've talked crap about every movie we've watched. I really hope I like this one. Because I just don't want to be the negative person.
I mean, this is definitely a much different movie.
It's very
yeah.
grounded in reality. I guess I'll say that much. But yeah, it's definitely kind of an emotional roller coaster. I'll say that much. But yeah,
Ooh, that's fun.
Yeah. But yeah, it is probably his best movie, in my opinion, at least. I don't know. I don't want you to go into the expectations though, but I'm not going to say anything about it. But yeah, that's the movie I'm recommending.
Yeah, so this is the first movie that I haven't seen of the recommendations, so that's cool.
Yeah.
This is
Alright,
3
are
of
we
3
good?
of movies
No,
I haven't
we're
seen. Alright.
Okay, so yeah, I think that's the end.
Yeah.
Alright.
All right, cool.